Welcome back. You're listening to Weekly Review on TBS EFM. I'm your host, Rob Allahan, and now it's Media in Check time. This is the part of the show where Angela Jung will come into the studio and fill us in on some of the updates and important news related to the media. So, welcome, Angela Jung. How are you today?
Great. Rao, how are you?
I'm glad to hear that you're feeling great. To be honest, I've been struggling with the heat lately.
Mm-hmm.
The air conditioner headaches versus the having to change into a dry t-shirt 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks? Do you have some secret? One of my friends chews ice. She just chews ice cubes all day long. Right? Do you have any stay cool tricks?
You see, I can't do that. And I should have been a little more honest with you in the beginning because I'm not doing as great as I said I was because
Sure.
It's tough and it's challenging to, overcome. I can't really drink or eat really cold food when I'm really hot, especially when the AC's on because I'm already getting the AC headache.
Yeah.
So I guess my only trick is to, put the temperature as 26 all day. Don't turn it off.
Yeah.
Don't make the temperature go down any lower than 26 because you'll get cold and you just, it's just a lot of adjusting.
There's just a lot of little, tiny adjustments. One thing that I like to do is I close up the bedroom and run the air conditioner for 20 minutes before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And then when I go to bed, I turn it off. And that's just enough for me to get to sleep without that air conditioning headache.
Yes. Everyone needs their own trick.
It's all those little tricks, right?
Yeah.
And just you learn 20 or 30 little tricks and you can get through the day and then don't think about tomorrow yet.
Right.
So what's our topic for today, Angela?
Yeah, so today's story is not the happiest because it's about our broadcasting station, TBS.
Yes.
So 77 Democratic lawmakers criticized the ordinance on abolition of TBS support proposed by the Seoul City Council. As many of our listeners are already aware of, TBS is the Seoul City-run media company and has often been accused of a political bias in favor of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
The members of the Democratic Party of Korea issued a statement and criticized the TBS ordinance abolition bill proposed by the ruling party.
Now, the bill, ordinance abolition bills, it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but what are some of the details? What's going on in there?
So the TBS ordinance abolition bill proposed on the 4th is to remove the legal basis for the Seoul metropolitan government to support TBS operating finances. On the 26th, the Democratic Party members, including Representative Jung Pil-mo, issued a statement saying, immediately stop the taming of public media by political power. And I urge the people's power to immediately stop all acts of damage to public media.
Yeah, now that word, taming, is an interesting word choice because it sounds like the goal is kind of bringing the media under control. And every time I hear people talking about media that's controlled by the government, I get a little nervous. Now, TBS is run by Seoul City, and for clarity, most of Korea's major networks are fully or partly funded by government money. So, this is not a unique case, but I'm sure that, of course, TBS has to, the decision makers have to watch carefully sort of who's sitting in City Hall, who's the mayor, because of these sorts of considerations.
Exactly. So Democratic lawmakers said the people's power to kill TBS is a collaboration between the Seoul City Council and the mayor, Oh Se-hoon. The mayor Oh said he would bring changes to TBS when he got elected, focusing more on the education programs in the future, which I think it's a great change. But not only that, he's been stressing the necessity of budget cuts. And as the people's power shakes the TBS, the number of sponsorships from the public institution is rapidly decreasing.
And when that kind of sponsorship dries up, of course, every media outlet runs on money because you need to pay for the equipment, you need to pay the broadcasters and the crew and all of that stuff. So, you can't run a radio station without it, of course. So where does TBS stand in terms of the financial support they receive from Seoul City?
Yeah, so currently TBS received 32 billion won of financial support from the city. And last year, after winning the by-election in 2021, Seoul Mayor Oh Se-hoon pushed for 12.3 billion won cut in the TBS contributions. But the proposal was not accepted, where 102 out of 110 council members were from the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So eventually, 5.5 billion won was actually cut. And in addition, as I mentioned earlier, the sponsorship of public institutions has been quickly decreasing. So that's another problem.
Yeah. So what you mean by sponsorship, you mean like companies advertising or supporting?
Right.
Okay. So private support. I see. All right. Now, TBS is a strictly public media outlet in the Seoul area. And it can't be controlled by a specific political power.
Right. So Democrats were concerned about taking over the entire public media. And they argue a more serious problem is that killing TBS will be the starting point for the ruling party to seize the public media. It raises suspicion that it's a meticulous operation.
Now, just before we came in and started recording, we were talking actually about the chilling effect, which is something that I learned about reading about media and journalism freedom. The chilling effect is basically the idea that, like, if you punish for, I'll give an example of illegal file downloading, right? If you punish one person really strongly for illegal file downloading, everybody else who downloads files will be like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't do this. Or if you punish one blogger really harshly for criticizing the president, all of the other bloggers, you don't even have to like send somebody to their door or send them a phone call. They see that happen and they censor themselves, right?
So it sort of blocks the freedom of expression.
It's
in a way
self-censorship. So, like you can deny, there's deniability, right? You can say, well, we didn't tell these bloggers to change how they report, but the effect is the same because of the chilling effect. So that's why press freedom trackers are always watching this kind of stuff. They're always watching, even if it's just one person or outlet kind of made into an example that can affect the entire environment. So what's the situation here in terms of the progress of this ordinance?
So the Seoul City Council is in a position to pass the abolition of TBS support within this year.
Within this year, okay.
So in an interview with the 국민일보 on the 24th, Kim Hyung-gi, who's a chairman of the Seoul City Council, said TBS has already fulfilled its role as a traffic broadcaster. And as part of a TBS EFM, we can at least go over and talk about the advantages of its EFM programs, I think. So you discuss every program weekly with the reviewers, Rob. So what do you think, and any programs or examples that come to your mind to support either side?
Well, I do think that, first of all, having an English language radio station that is not education focused, and also that's not national promotion focused. And I'm not going to name names, but there's an English language radio station and TV station that their main goal is to present a good image of Korea to people outside Korea. There's an English language education channel, and that's great. But the one strength of TBS is not just specific shows, but in the big picture, having this big diverse variety of different types of discussion, from politics to entertainment to having a relaxing morning, or just having some goofy fun time without, for the sheer purpose of having a goofy fun time.
Exactly.
That big variety is valuable in itself.
Yes.
Because creating that kind of a culture, you never know what exciting, interesting, new connection or idea might come out of it. Now, I could go on in detail about specific shows and things that I love about them, but I want to know, what about you, Angela?
So when I came back from the States a couple years ago, my only I guess, way to feel sort of like at home still. Like by home, I mean the States. I've been living there for a long time. Was to listen to TBS EFM really, because like whenever I was driving, I would listen to it, and then I would feel like, okay, like this is a really great show. They provide me all the good information, really useful tips to how to adjust to the Korean society, the culture, all the events that I can go to. So like listening that maybe they might not be available. It's really unfortunate. So
shows like Diverse Voices and Life Abroad are shows that really do kind of present Korean culture in a way that makes it accessible to people and that gives some useful advice and also sometimes kind of some perspectives of, listen, here's what we're all going through. You're not alone. That's really valuable to people sometimes.
Very, very valuable, yes.
Okay. I've been talking about this exact issue in my classes a lot, and it's a hard one because anytime you get money mixed up with media, there could be problems. And the question is, who do you trust to provide an unbiased source of information? And we need a place to have these important political discussions about, which way people should vote, for example. That's really important. And that means that sometimes some views that make some people uncomfortable come out.
Yes.
But if corporate sponsorship is the only place that the money comes from, then we would have to watch for corporate bias toward corporations. If government is the only place money comes from, then we have to watch for pro-government bias. There's no place that I feel, okay, now I completely trust the media 100%. So we always have to keep having this conversation.
Yes.
And we always have to kind of be thinking critically about these issues. I don't think that ever goes away, even if this issue is resolved in a way that makes everybody happy.
Exactly. The right balance is always a challenge, but that's what we gotta go for it, right?
That's right. But there are definitely some valuable things that we have in TBS right now. And so, of course, we'll all be watching this issue very carefully as it develops.
Me too.
Thank you so much, Angela, for bringing this topic in today.
Thank you, Rob.
And that's everything for Media in Czech.